Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab podcast. My name is Dogg, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you for another episode of the podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us, helps the bands and artists like Evan Boyer. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR. Outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. So, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, Mr. Evan Boyer, how are you this morning?
I'm good, man. How are you?
As bright as your background as the paint in your wall, correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm actually at one of my friends' houses, and I said, "Where should I do the podcast from?" She said, do it in front of Rose." She named the cow Rose. So
It's wonderful. Yeah,
yeah,
beautiful. So,
it's awesome.
tell us why we're in Nashville currently and how long have we been in Dallas, Texas that you call home now?
So I've been in Nashville just for a few days, and I'm here for songwriting mostly. I do a lot of co-writes, and it's a great place to just go and co-write with other writers. This is where it's happening, in my opinion. You have Nashville and you have Austin, and those are the major music hubs in the United States for me, especially for Americana and country leaning Americana specifically. Um, so yeah, I come here to write, and that's what I'm doing right now. And you asked about Dallas, right? Yeah, so I've been in Dallas since 2010. So at this point, I like to think I'm an honorary Texan. I've been there long enough.
So, you talked about writing or this new album. How so far has it been different from writing the first album? Like any blaring differences?
Um, I'm really focusing this time around on the album and each song being lyrics first. Because I feel like the lyrics are more important to me. Like as I've gotten more into this, the lyrics are what really stick out to when I hear a song. That's what really grabs me and makes me come back. It's not the guitar solo. It's not necessarily the production, even though those are super important. Um, it's the lyrics that bring me back. So this time around, I really wanted to focus on having lyrics first as a record.
Yeah. So we discovered you down at South by this year. We
Yeah.
met you through Jorg and Jason. Um,
Hmm.
it's what is it? Austin Rhythm Revival, isn't that what it's called?
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And this is I think they said this is their fifth time doing it. Talk about that
Yeah.
experience. Talk about South by in general, like for you, as an artist.
South by is crazy as an artist. As you know, you were there. Um, it just you go down and then you're in Austin, which Austin's a great weird city anyway, and there's so much going on. Then add South by to it, and you have all these musicians, all these film people. It's just all these comedians. It's just such a hub of artists at that point that you're walking down the street and I'm like, oh, I know him. Oh, I know him. Oh, I love his music. I love his music. So it's very cool to just be around other artists at a place like South by. It's great. I love it.
Is it more difficult for you now to go see a show? Can you just be a fan, or are you constantly like looking at things or hearing things or critiquing, like as a fan being a musician?
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, it's very hard to just go to shows because I'm usually playing shows when my friends are like if I go to a show, it's conscious effort. I can't work that night. I'll go see. I did that the other night with Mitchell Ferguson. He was opening for Paul Cawthon. He's one of my dear friends. But I went, and like you said, and you're spot on, you can't turn it off as the artist. You have to. I'm looking at first. I'm listening to the music. I'm listening to oh, that's a great mix level. Oh, how are they doing those lights? Look at his stage presence. What's on his pedal board? How is he getting that sound out of the guitar? Those lyrics are amazing. Like the wheels are spinning so much. Um, So friends and family tell me I'm not exactly the most pleasurable guy to go to a show with because I'll be like, hey, check out that lighting sequence. Isn't that cool? They're like, let's just enjoy the show.
It's like taking a librarian to like a book fair.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And I don't blame them. It is not it's not necessarily enjoyable. I don't make it an enjoyable experience for anyone,
Yeah.
sadly.
So living in Dallas now, I mean, yeah, 16 years, talk about the music scene in Dallas. Is it thriving? Is it, and I'm not just talking about from the musician side of it, like how about like venue wise, like restaurant wise, like are a lot of places doing live music in the city?
Yeah, well, for Dallas, you always have Deep Ellum, which has been around for over 100 years for music. It started with blues, and it's quickly progressed into modern music. But when you think of Dallas, you can't just think of Dallas. You have to think of the entire Metroplex, Dallas and Fort Worth. And Fort Worth is an incredible music city. It's about 45 minutes from Dallas, and it's all kind of like clumped together. So as a whole, it's an incredible music experience between Dallas and Fort Worth. Fort Worth probably has more venues that I'm used to that kind of fit my music a little more as far as the Americana country leaning stuff. But both cities have so much to offer with music.
And when did that start with Fort Worth? Because, again, like from a national perspective, you don't think of Fort Worth as this, music hub.
Right,
When did
right.
all of that start? And like, was there a musical group or a certain person that kind of inspired all of that, or was it just a collective?
I know that they have an excellent collective of artists there, but one thing that they have that they launched is Here Fort Worth, like HEAR Fort Worth. Um, and they put a lot of I know for a fact that they put a lot of tax dollars into promoting the music aspect of Fort Worth so that anytime I go to a festival in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, there's usually a presence of Fort Worth. There's a Fort Worth stage. I was just at Luck Reunion and there was a Fort Worth stage with Fort Worth artists. So I just went up there because I know them all. And it's so cool to see a city take that initiative and put money behind what their mouth. It's nice to say, oh, we're a music city, but they don't necessarily. Not every city really is, or they really put their foot forward to make sure we're making an effort to make this a music city.
Yeah.
Fort Worth certainly does that, and that's why I'm blessed to live in that metroplex because there is tons of opportunity, and Dallas too. I believe Dallas just started their own Here Fort Worth version, and they're a few years behind it, but they're really making an initiative now. And I think that's super important for any municipality to kind of put artists first and put music first, or at least recognize it that the arts are important in our culture. And Fort Worth and Dallas do a great job. Specifically, I'm just calling out Fort Worth because they truly do such a great job putting music first and making it on the map.
How important do you think it is to get like people that are under 21 out to like shows and to live music, especially, you having kids, like knowing like the environment that these poor kids are, dealing with smartphones and all this stuff, like, talk about that aspect of it.
It's so important. It's incredibly important that someone just gets in the pattern of, oh, let's go to a live show, or oh, it's a Friday night. Where are we going to go? We're not going to sit on our computers. We're going to go down to Trees and Deep Ellum and check out, XYZ band, and just have that kind of ingrained and instilled in them to say, I want to go see live music because it's so important, especially since COVID. It's not the same music scene, no matter where you go. And this is what I've heard from everyone I've talked to, every artist, every venue owner, every booking agent, my agent, that it people don't show up as much as they used to before COVID. And that's just, no one really knows why. You have your ideas and stuff, but it is massively important to instill people go out to live shows because, to be completely candid, that's where an artist makes their money. that they make it from. That's how they make their livelihood. They make it from live shows, and at live shows, you sell merch, and merch is a lifeline for us as far as revenue streams.
Mhm. Have you, that's a good segue. So I have heard from many, many bands and artists, and I feel like because the word is out now, I think publicly, I think a lot of these venues aren't doing it anymore, but because you play a lot, maybe you can speak on this. I have heard in the past of venues taking cuts of artists and bands merchandise
Yeah,
as high as like 25, 30%. Like,
yeah.
have you dealt with that personally? And have you heard of that? Like, is it still rampant, amongst the industry?
I've dealt with that personally. It stinks. It makes no sense. And I want to be positive about it and say there was an initiative a few years ago that a lot of small to medium sized venues did away with taking a merch cut. Um, and their whole justification. And so that I applaud the small and medium sized venues. There's a venue in Dallas called the Kessler that was one of the venues that said we're not taking a merch cut, and I really applaud all those venues and that initiative. It's a huge because it eats into our money. And the funny thing is with artists, we were like, why? What right do they have to take anything? Because they wouldn't supply anything. Maybe they would give us a table, but I bring my own table to every show anyway.
Right.
And I bring my own merch person. It's not like they supplied a merch person. Now, in some cases where I think it's okay and justified, sometimes a venue will supply a merch person for you.
Yeah.
And in that case, yeah, I get it. Cover your nut. You're giving something to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand there's a charge for that.
Mm-hmm.
But typically I'll bring my own merch person, or a band will bring their own merch person, or they do their own merch. Like you'll hear, I promise you, almost every show you're going to hear at the end of it, especially the opener is going to say, meet me by the merch table. I'll be right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, venues taking a cut of the merch is at least not as popular anymore. It's not as widely
Accepted.
It's not widely accepted anymore, which is cool, but it's still there, man. And it just crushes us. So yeah, anyone listening to this, yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing that you got to look out for.
It's so funny because, I think about this often, like as a sports fan, as much as I am, that's as much of a music fan as I am. But, when
Mm-hmm.
you talk to like just an average person, they will have no problem spending $200 to go see their favorite team, where
Mm-hmm.
all of those players are, making infinite amounts more money than any most artists, right?
Oh
But
yeah,
they'll balk at a $30 ticket for a band at their local show. Like that
that's a
to
great
me,
point.
it's a real kind of mind fuck because in my mind, like it's a no-brainer, but like for a lot of
Mhm.
people, like that's like they choose the sports. Why do you think that is?
I honestly don't know because the first thing that comes to my mind when you buy a ticket is entertain me. That's why I'm going.
Correct.
I'm going to either escape, which you don't get with sports, right? But entertainment you get with sports, but you also get with any show I put on. I'm doing my best to entertain and make sure everyone escapes their everyday lives and at least has an hour and a half of just music that they can take in and not think of anything. And that's equally as important as going and seeing a great football game. I don't know, where are you based?
Pennsylvania.
So you're Steelers or Philly fan?
Uh, well, for football, I'm actually a Rams fan,
Oh, okay.
but
All
Sixers
right.
and Phillies for other sports.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, you go to a Rams game. I mean, football costs an arm and a leg. And like you said, you're paying $250 for a ticket. Pay $30, go to the game, but also enjoy one of our shows for $30, $25. Sometimes it's $15. Like it's not just go out and have a good time.
yeah. So let's talk about this first album, The Devil in Me. I understand why because I've read some interviews like it's a lot about making mistakes and not being perfect and being
Yeah.
flawed. Um,
Yeah.
you know, First of all, being a musician, the hardest thing ever is your debut album because obviously it's
Yeah.
your first, introduction to the rest of the world. How much of that was on your mind when you recorded the album?
Massively. That was the number one. You're totally spot on with that because it's your introduction into the world. Um, it was my first album. I wanted to make sure it was perfect, at least in my ears, perfect. And it took a lot of time to do that. And you're right, like the most important. So I would say it's 50-50 split when I talk to people. The most important album you do and the most pressure you have is your first album because like you said it is the first time anyone is literally really ever hearing you. um, but the advantage you have with the first album is there's no timeline to it. You can No one is expecting until you say something, no one's expecting, hey, when's the next Evan Boyer album coming out, because there hasn't been an Evan Boyer album. So you have your time to craft it and make sure it's completely correct and make sure all the marketing is all set. There is you're in an album cycle, but you're not coming from another album cycle. So that leads me to your second album. And that's what I'm going through right now is you have in my brain, you have all the pressure of your first album. No matter how well it did, you have to beat that bar, or you want to at least meet that bar. And second, you're on a time crunch now because like I'll say to myself, or when's the next music coming out, buddy? Come on, dude. It is time because there is a such thing as an album cycle, and you can only work an album for so long, and then you have to start putting out new music. And with new music, you release single, maybe another single, and then the full album. And I'm kind of in the process of that right now. But going back to what I was saying, some would say the second album is just as difficult or more important because you have to you already set a bar. Whereas before you didn't set a bar, you didn't set a timeline. Now you have a timeline. Now you have a bar that you're set to, and a standard that you're already set to. And I'm fortunate enough that I'm one of the artists that was incredibly lucky that I love my first album. I'll listen to every track off of it. And I'm still in awe of how we did that. I had some incredible producers, and some incredible people on my team to make sure that album sounded good. It wasn't all me. But yeah, that bar that you already set that can be difficult. So, yeah, I'm in the latter of the two right now, trying to get the second album out.
Yeah. I mean, expectations are a devil to dance with, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
the female singer that you have on a couple songs or on the ship
Yeah.
song, who is that? And like give her some love because she's got some pipes, doesn't she?
Yes. So on Burn the Ships,
Yep.
it's actually a group. It's two girls, Chrissy and Emily. Their names are Della Rose. That's the name of the group, Della Rose, and they're out of Abilene, Texas. And I got connected with them through my producer, Bradley Procopi, because he had also produced them. And when we were kind of working out Burn the Ships, I wanted a female voice on that, specifically because that song is about domestic violence. And I feel like it's very important to have a female's voice on a song about domestic violence. It's just incredibly important. So that led us to Della Rose, and they were gracious enough to do it and to listen to my, here's the lyrics. What do you think? Good luck. Because I'm the kind of guy when I'm in the studio, I like to think that I bring in some top talent, and I'm lucky enough that I have those. I have the ability to get them.
Mhm.
But when I get them in there, I don't like telling people what to do. There's a reason you're here. You're this good of a musician. I want to use your brain because I don't know how to play the piano. I don't know I know how to sing, but I don't know how you're going to sing. And you're here for a specific reason. And I said that to the girls, and they took it and ran with it, and they absolutely crushed it in the studio. I tell people when we were recording The Devil in Me, there was 2 moments when I had pure goosebumps. Uh, and one of them was when we brought in the choir for the actual song "The Devil in Me," which was incredible. And the other moment was when Chrissy and Emily were singing "Burn the Ships," and I still get chills when I think about it because it was just like it was one of those, I wrote that song. Like, they make it sound so good. So yeah, I was really much love to Delarose. They're incredible, and everyone should check them out. They're streaming on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your music.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I often will say, because, and I think it's partially because I'm biased because I used to sing in choir in high school, but like, I often will hear a song and be like, man, that would sound really great with a choir.
Yeah.
You ever get that?
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Completely. And that's what we did with the song "The Devil in Me." We completely recorded the song. Uh, and I do this kind of like chant at the end. I don't know if you've heard it or not. But I do this chant at the end, and I did the whole thing, recorded the whole thing. We listened to it. We had a board mix of it, and we're like, you know what it needs? It needs a gospel choir. And I'm like, okay, where do we get a gospel choir? And it was a Sunday too. Um, and we only had a few more studio days. So they made some calls. They found a incredible gospel choir in the Dallas area
Okay.
on short notice. So that was super cool that we could actually say, like you said, you know, it would be really cool, a choir on this, and we were actually able to get one.
Yeah. It might be harder if you were in Connecticut to find a gospel choir.
Yes, much harder. Thank God I was in Dallas. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Yeah, I mean, you were born in North Carolina. Where in North Carolina?
I was born in New Bern, North Carolina.
Okay. And what did
Yeah.
mom and dad do what growing up, and how did we then go to Connecticut? Where'd that come from?
So I'm actually, I'm adopted, and I was adopted as a little baby, like I think like 3 months old. And my parents my dad had been transferred from Connecticut down to North Carolina for a job. So that's how they got me. I was there. I lived there for a year of my childhood. Like, I was 0 to 1. So I don't remember anything. I just know that I was born there. And then my father got transferred back to Connecticut. So that's where I grew up. We went back to Connecticut. I lived there. I lived in Connecticut until I was about 25, and then moved to Dallas, Texas.
And what made us move to Dallas?
Same story as most people. A girl.
Yeah.
Girl brought me down there. Uh, I'm glad I moved to Dallas, but that relationship is long gone.
Yeah.
But Dallas stayed.
Yeah. So you've been married to your wife now for how long?
Uh, Now you're making me do 8 years.
Okay.
8 years. Yeah.
And did we meet at a show? Did we meet? How did we meet?
Met at a bar. Old school. My friend was talking to her friend, and I swooped right in and said, "Hey, my name's Evan Boyer. What's your name?" So old school, nothing online or anything like that.
Wow. And we have two kids?
Yes, I have two amazing children. They drive me nuts, but they're just love of my life. I got Brooks, who's 6 years old, and I have Mary, who is 3 years old, who's about to turn 4.
Okay. So you said before we started recording, you're pretty much gone Thursday to Sunday every weekend. How do you balance that? How does the family like balance all of that? Like, how do we make that work in the Boyer family?
It you can't. It's part of the job that you signed up for, right? People really aren't going to shows on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It would be easier if I could just be gone those nights. But that's not the beast. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, get home Sunday. I don't do that every weekend. I do that a lot of weekends. I took off. I specifically took off September and part of October because I had a very busy summer and I needed to coach soccer for my son. And I said, okay, taking a month and a half off to coach soccer. And that was super fun. But typically, yeah, like you said, I'm gone. The bus leaves Thursday, gets back Sunday.
So I saw on your Instagram post about a bus that we are taking on this tour that is a little interesting. How about that story?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to own Willie Nelson's old tour bus. Um, it's pretty incredible. It has a lot of history to it. It does have a smell to it. Everyone asks that. Yes, it does have a smell, and my band makes sure that smell continues on that bus. Um, but yeah, I'm lucky enough. It's interesting when I first released my first album, one of the album release parties was at a venue that was also a bar. And at the time I was newly sober. And I said, I really don't want to hang out in a bar all night, no, tempting myself to drink when I really need to play a show. I don't need all these things going on. So I decided, I looked around, I wanted to lease a bus out just as a mobile green room essentially. And I found one company that had tour buses in Dallas, and they said all of our tour buses are on the road except one. We have this one 1987 Willie Nelson's old tour bus. He named it the Redheaded Stranger. So I leased out the Redheaded Stranger, and it was a surreal experience to the point where I kept talking about it to the owner, and the owner was like, it could be for sale. And I said, that's all you need to say. Let's do this. Because I need a bus anyway. Well, I don't need a bus. It's nice to have, especially when you go to sleep in Nashville and you wake up in Dallas at the end of the weekend. It's pretty magical. But anyway, yeah, I have Willie Nelson's old tour bus. He offered, it's for sale, and I bought it. And it's kind of crazy that I own a piece of music history. I say I own it, but I'm just the custodian of it. I just make sure, keep it running. It is more than just me, because man, so many artists have used it. After Willie had it, Asleep at the Wheel. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They put a million miles on it. Since then, Post Malone, Darius Rucker, like so many artists. Charlie Crockett. Charlie Crockett. Are you familiar with Charlie?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. He had his heart issue in the back of the bus. He almost died in the back of that bus. And it just has, and he's totally fine now. But it just has so much history to it, that I consider myself so lucky to have. And sometimes I'll write some of my songs on the bus while we're going down the highway, and I'm like, and I just think, I stop and I think to myself, what am I how did I get in this position where I'm rolling down the highway in Willie Nelson's tour bus writing a song for my new album? What life am I living?
Yeah. It's,
It's pretty cool.
the simulation is real, my friend.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm super happy for it, because it kept me sober when it was kind of hard to be sober at the time.
Yeah. So for someone who might never get to walk into this bus, can you give like as best as you can, like a visual like walkthrough of what the bus looks like inside?
Sure, you walk on it. Not very little has changed on the bus since 1987. The prior owner made sure to keep it up running, making sure it looks nice, replacing anything that needed to be replaced. But you're walking into a time capsule. You walk in, you've got two benches where the bands usually typically hang out, or friends of the show or friends of the band come and hang out during the show or after the show. You got two benches. You got a little galley kitchen. You've got a little kitchen table, which, that's probably where a lot of the smoking happened. Then you have 9 bunks. Okay. And in the back, you have a back lounge where you can hang out too. And that's where I typically do a lot of my writing. Now, people think tour buses are so cool. Tour buses are so cool. Okay. But if you're on the road, think about 9 bunks. Okay, you got 9 guys in there at most, even if you have 6 guys in there. It smells to high heaven. And I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, being on a tour bus is cool. It is super cool. Like there's no doubt about that. But when you're living, I'm like, would you live with six other guys in a 300 square foot apartment? Because that's what you're doing. And it starts to smell. It just starts, think about 6 to 9 guys just sitting in
Farting.
bunks, farting. That's, that's exactly, I had a photographer who is pretty known. He's pretty well known for that. I'm not going to say his name, but, yeah, he would let him rip.
Yeah, so funny. So,
Yeah.
so, deciding to become sober. Obviously, so many people decide that in our lifetime. It's
Hmm.
a constant struggle. Was there one thing, a conversation that somebody told you? Was there just one like event like that kind of allowed you to keep this going? Like talk about that journey, how it's been.
Well, I hit rock bottom, as many people do, and everyone has their own version of rock bottom. Um, and I hit that, and I finally said, it's the booze. It's the booze that makes me feel so terrible, depressed. Just, it's not healthy for me. Some people, it's fine. It's totally, totally good. Some people, it's not. I just happen to be one of those people where it's not. I can't have a drop of alcohol again in my life. If I do, I'm probably going to end up dead. It's one of those things.
Yeah. What about then anything else? Like, do we do anything else then? Weed or anything?
Yeah,
Caffeine?
yeah, caffeine, definitely Oh my God, so much caffeine. That's what I drink when I'm at the shows. Red Bulls or Celsius. Caffeine's a big thing for me.
Okay.
I'll occasionally dab in. I guess I'm California sober.
Sure.
Um, that's pretty much all I do.
Yeah.
I'll have occasionally some weed. It kind of chills me out. I'm of the belief I don't feel like anything's wrong with it. I don't think it should be legal, and that's happening. Um, but I'm not. I'm. I think California sober is totally acceptable if you're quitting booze.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
So let's talk about a health scare that you had just recently.
yeah.
Like, what the heck happened?
So I was actually at Folk Alliance in New Orleans, um, and I I flew home. I noticed something. My lung was hurting the side of my chest, and I thought that was incredibly weird. It's like, I don't know. A lot of guys, you kind of like brush off something that's happening to your body. Oh, like my knee hurts. Okay, whatever. My hip hurts. Whatever. Um, my lung hurts. Whatever. But my lung really hurt, and I'm like, something's wrong. So I went to the hospital, and they did a quick scan, and they were able to find a pulmonary embolism, actually two, that were in my lungs. And thank God I went. I didn't realize the mortality rate with one of those is like, you have a 35% chance of dying. I didn't realize that.
Gee.
And I'm just incredibly, incredibly lucky. I listened to my body. So everyone out there, listen to your body. And I went to the hospital. And here is the weirdest thing about it. Okay. I was in New Orleans. Okay. The week leading up to this pulmonary embolism. And I'm sober in New Orleans. So you got to be creative and stuff to do. So me and my friend went to a voodoo priestess. Just why not? You're in New Orleans. You're in the city of magic with a K. Um, let's go check it out. And she told me, she says, I think it was a question of like, how long am I going to live or something like that. She goes, you'll live into your 80s, but you're going to have trouble with your lungs. And I said, I've never had trouble with my lungs before in my life. I'm not a tobacco smoker. She's like, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen to your lung. So 2 days later, I have a pulmonary embolism, and that just freaked me out. I'm not one big believer in uh, voodoo or hoodoo and all that stuff, but it she called it out, and it happened not 48 hours later. Uh, and it, it was just That's kind of my footnote with the pulmonary embolism is that it was predicted by a voodoo priestess.
I mean, that's really fascinating. Like,
I know, right?
I mean, that's yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, like I
yeah.
told you, New Orleans is one of my favorite cities. So the next time I do, that might be one of my stops too.
It's cool. Priestess Katerina, check her out.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's about 85 years old. She's down in the French Quarter, and she'll tell you like it is.
Yeah.
And she must have something. I don't know. She did a good job with me.
So talk about that Folk Alliance because I've heard from many artists that just a great organization. Talk about that experience down there.
Incredible art, incredible organization. Have you ever been?
I've not.
So what they do is Folk Alliance is a conference and a festival. It's kind of like South by in that aspect, but unlike South by, which is sprawled across the city, unlike Americana Fest, which is sprawled across Nashville, everything is in one hotel. So you have everyone stays from floor 1 to 26, but there are 3 floors dedicated to showcases. So different organizations, different venues. I mentioned here Fort Worth earlier. They put on a showcase, and a showcase is one of the larger hotel rooms. So they rent out, they book a room, and they move out the bed. The hotel will move out the bed, and they'll put up chairs. They'll put up about 10, 12, 15 chairs. And you go from showcase to showcase as an artist. You carry your guitar from hotel room to hotel room. You perform 3 to 5 songs, and it's this captive audience that just wants to listen to your stuff. You're not dealing with plugging into anything. You're not dealing with sound checks. You're not dealing with merch. It's just purely about the music. And that's what really opened my eye. It was this past January that I've been focusing more on lyrics like I talked about,
Yeah.
but that's where it really hits home when you're sitting 10 feet from an artist pouring out their heart and you're just listening to the lyrics and you're just in awe of what's happening. And that's the coolest thing about Folk Alliance. And if you attend it, you get to just go around, you get your wristband and you go around from hotel room to hotel. You have your schedules, but you're not huffing it across the city to the 5 spot in Nashville to see your favorite band, and then you're going to the basement. It's all in one hotel, and it's so cool. It's such a unique experience, and anyone that has the opportunity to go, I think next year's in Chicago. I'll be there. I'll be performing. I think it is such a cool, unique experience for a music lover to go. And the thing is, I'm not a big night owl, but those showcases run from about 10 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. So it's just, you just get on a different schedule and you'll see yourself, wow, it's 4 a.m. Okay, maybe it's time to go to bed. I've consumed 30 artists tonight, or whatever. And it's just a super unique experience. And it was thankfully, it was in New Orleans this year during an ice storm in Dallas. So I got to miss that. So I had to enjoy the nice weather of New Orleans.
It's in January then always?
Yeah, it's usually in January.
Yeah.
So like I said, this year is in Chicago. So it'll be a little cold.
Yeah.
It'll be a bundle. If you're going to Folk Alliance, make sure you bundle up.
Yeah, but that is really intriguing because January is typically, there's not much going on in the music calendar. So that's,
Yeah.
That is kind of a nice opportunity.
It's a great opportunity, and it's a great opportunity for artists because, like you said, it's a slow roll in January and February, and it's nice to have something to look forward to and to expose your music to people that typically you wouldn't be able to during those months.
Yeah.
Or if you do, they're not. I mean, just to be totally candid, they're not great shows. Like they're not well attended. You have a hard time getting people out in August.
Right.
It's really hard to get them out in January and February.
Yeah. I know that Key West Songwriters Festival, I think that's in January. I hear that's a good time.
Yeah.
There is somewhere else, I think, in Florida that does one. Like maybe St. Augustine, do they do one or something?
There's the 30A.
Yeah, 30A. Yeah.
30A Songwriters Festival.
Yeah.
And then there's also the Music Fest in Steamboat.
Okay.
which a lot of Texas artists, Americana artists go to. It is in the middle of Steamboat in January, so you're in the snow, you're in the cold,
Yeah.
but it's a cool experience. You're on top of the mountain. I haven't played it yet. Hopefully I do that this year.
Yeah.
But that's another festival that happens in January.
I mean, let's get back to the geography side of everything. Like, it is kind of, do you think about that living in Dallas that, geographically, you really are kind of like in the center of the country and like to be able to tour, you do kind of have that advantage compared to, a band from Florida or a band from Maine or, something like that.
Yes. Yeah,
Talk about that with routing and stuff, how important that is.
yeah, with routing, living in Dallas, living in Nashville too, but living in Dallas specifically is a huge advantage as far as touring wise. And there's a few reasons for that. Like you pointed out, it's in the middle of the country. Um, you can kind of you don't have you drive far to get to shows, but you're centrally located, which is huge is a huge advantage for as far as touring. But specifically, if you're in Texas, you can make a very good living being a successful Texas artist and never leaving Texas.
Yeah.
You have, if you think about it, you got the diamond of Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, back to Dallas. Those are just incredible music cities anyway. But then you have smaller markets like Tyler, like Lubbock. Lubbock is a hotbed for music.
Yeah.
Huge. It's huge. So many William Clark Green, Flatland Cavalry,
West Texas Exiles.
yes, West Texas. Yeah, West Texas Exiles. I actually saw them at Folk Alliance.
So good.
They were part of. Yeah. Oh my God, so good.
Yeah.
There's so much good music in Texas, and as far as routing and touring, I typically stick to Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana. I'll go to Arkansas and I'll go to Tennessee, Nashville, Memphis, Knoxville. That's kind of all I have to do to maintain to keep it going. Now, I'll play, like I'm playing Connecticut in October. I'm playing different shows. Like I'll do Folk Alliance in Chicago. That's not to say I won't travel often to further away places. But typically, I keep the bus in Garland, Texas, which is right next to Dallas, and we have bus call in Garland. We'll go to Austin, we'll go to Houston, we'll go to San Antonio, we'll go to Lubbock, we'll go to Wichita in Kansas, which is right above Oklahoma. We'll do Tulsa. Tulsa is an incredible. Your listeners, guys, if you want to go to a cool music city that no one knows about, and people from Tulsa are going to get mad at me for saying this, go to Tulsa. Okay. It is a hidden gem as far as music and live music is concerned. Yeah, there's some incredible artists that come out of Tulsa and just in great venues. Canes, Mercury Lounge, just it's a hidden gem as far as touring acts know about it. You got to stop in Tulsa.
Yeah, I guess I'm assuming then Tulsa is the second biggest city after Oklahoma City.
In Oklahoma,
yeah,
Tulsa, and it's pretty. I believe it's pretty close as far as size wise.
Right.
Oklahoma City has some cool venues too, right outside Oklahoma City. But Tulsa, for my dollar, Tulsa is where it's at in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was not aware of that. I was aware of Kane's Ballroom, but I wasn't aware of Tulsa the city being, that great.
Yes.
So, the band's name is The Remedy. We were talking earlier, one of my favorite Black Crowes songs is The Remedy.
Yeah.
Why the name and how did you accumulate the band and how did we all meet?
So I realized I needed a band. I was learning what I wanted to do. I didn't only want to do the singer-songwriter thing. Sometimes I love getting after it on stage. And I, through trials and tribulations, found the band that I have right now. I had a great drummer before. Incredible guy. I'm still friends with him. It just didn't click. Sometimes it doesn't click when you're in your band and you have to find people that you click with. Not only socially, you want a good hang, excuse me, but you need the music to be great. You need to click on stage. So it took me a little while to find the right guys. I got Tyler on guitar. I got Jack on bass. I got Drew Herrickle on the keys. and Drew's incredible. He used to tour with Cody Jinks. Like he's the best. And Dave Thomas on the drums. And I'm incredibly lucky for those guys. And I named the band The Remedy is because two reasons. One, they fix my shit. They make sure I sound better than I actually do.
Nice.
And the cure was already taken. That's what I say. Like,
Oh,
that's why I came up with The Remedy.
so do you feel like your debut album translates better you as a solo just artist or with the full band? Or is that kind of more song by song?
Um, that's a great question because it has evolved. I've noticed. So I released, and it's learning as you go, right? I have this incredibly wonderful, in my opinion, The Devil in Me. It's really well produced. It's really well put together. But what I wasn't thinking of when I was in the studio was how are these songs going to sound acoustically? Because I also, while I love playing with my band, I also love playing acoustically. So I've had to, some of these songs like Sweet Mary, The Fear, I do it completely different when I'm just on stage by myself because it kind of calls for that. I can't rely on a dobro player that's not there. I can't rely on a 12-piece string section that I had in the studio, bonehead, because I brought it. I'm like, this is incredible. This is great. And then I had this epiphany. I'm like, oh my God, I will never have this live. How am I going to recreate this? And I quickly found out that you can't recreate it.
That's okay.
And that's okay. How can I make it sound unique? And even with the band, we do some songs differently than is on the album. And I have learned that I have to play some of these songs completely different acoustically. And it's the nature of the beast. And I like it because it brings more attention to the lyrics. Going back to the whole lyrics first thing. So when I can play acoustic, people actually have to listen to the lyrics. And I've had a lot of people come up to me. They're like, I didn't know that this song was about this. It's so obvious now. So that's cool.
Yeah. So I want to talk about how Heatwave Music Group has helped you along this whole process of having a music career.
Yeah. So one of the hardest things in my line of work is not the actual music. It's not social media, even though that's kind of a pain in the butt. It's booking shows. That is the hardest thing. It's basically a sales job. You're sending out cold emails, you're making connections, you're networking, things that artists typically don't like to do. But you have to do it. It's the nature of the beast. So I was doing that, and I was incredibly fortunate enough to run across Kat Moore, who heads up Heatwave Music Group. And a few of my friends are signed to Heatwave, and they're a booking agent. And for people that don't know, a manager is different than an agent, is different than your merch person. So an agent is who books your shows. That's their only job. And it is a thankless job, and it is a hard job because you're dealing with, it's like baseball numbers. Like if you're successful, 300 is amazing if you're hitting 300. So Kat crushes it for me. She gets me on some incredible shows, incredible festivals, and I am so lucky to run across her and for her to sign me. I was just blown away. I'm like, you want to sign me? And I'm just internally grateful for her.
So do you have a preference now that you've gotten to play both? Like, do you prefer playing festivals, or would you rather play like a headline show, in a club or a bar?
Festivals are the most fun because I find for two reasons. One, you're exposed to an audience that you normally wouldn't be exposed to. It's a captive audience. People are at that festival, whether they're there to see you or they're there to see another artist. They're there to see music. And you get a brand new audience who normally wouldn't see you, as opposed to if you're doing a headline show at, I'm in Nashville, so the 5 spot in Nashville. If you're doing that, you have to sell tickets. right? And it's people that already know your music, hopefully, because it's hard to get a walk-in crowd with a headline show. And that essentially is what a festival is. It's a giant walk-in crowd that you're exposed to in a totally different way. And the other reason I like playing festivals is the camaraderie with the other artists backstage. It's so cool to sit at catering and have Dale Watson sit next to you, James McMurtry, and Jessica Simpson. That happened to me. I use that example. I sat down, I'm having Caesar salad, and I look up and I just see these artists. I'm like, what is going on? And it's so cool. You just start talking about touring, talking about, because it's a very unique job that we have. And no one can kind of commiserate except if you're another artist and you totally understand what you're going through. So that's the other reason I love playing festivals. It's just the camaraderie with other artists.
Is Jessica Simpson as stunning, like in person, as she is like on TV?
Yeah, she took pictures in front of my bus too, because the bus has this old mural of like ancient Greece and the desert in Sedona. It's whoever made it was high when he was doing it, obviously. His name is Rainmaker, if anyone's interested, just to give you an idea. But yeah, she's is incredibly stunning in person, and she took pictures with my bus, which is cool.
Yeah, that's so cool. So, Medicine for Mary Records is who released the debut album. Will they release this next album?
I don't know. Medicine for Mary is an in-house label that I made. Yeah. So my daughter's name is Mary, and I had to release it. You have to have some kind of representation.
Sure.
And so Medicine for Mary is, I was on my way to CVS, and my son, who's older than my daughter, he said, "Where are we going?" I'm like, "We're picking up Medicine for Mary." I'm like, "Well, that's cool. That's either going to be a song lyric or the name of the record company." And I decided the name of the record company because, I'm like, that sounds cool. Yeah. Let's do that. And that's why artists do what they do, because it sounds cool. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, now this next album, I'm talking with another label that they're based in Connecticut. I'm not gonna, because no deal is done right now.
Right.
But I might be releasing on a different label this time, and I'm really looking forward to that. There's some really good guys out there.
Yeah, and obviously better distribution, I would assume.
Absolutely, better distribution. Everything. When you release an album, it takes some. I talk about it like it's like giving birth to a baby. Okay, you have all this lead up and all this stuff that you're preparing for, and when you have that baby, you don't just sit there and say, "Okay, do something, be a baby." You have to nurture it, take care of it, cultivate it, like make sure get them ready for the world, let them grow. And that's what you have to do with an album. You don't just drop an album and say, okay, it's really good, so everyone's going to listen to it. People have to get their ears on it first. And that's a huge important part to it. And that's an aspect of where a label comes in handy. They have a marketing arm and a PR arm that'll get you on, radio, podcasts, interviews, different shows, special showcases, and just to promote your album. And that's hugely important. And along with working with a booking agent for the tour to support the album. But yeah, a label, they really come in handy. It's not always great with a label. Like there's downfalls to it. You sign over some of your music. It depends on the deal, but an advantage of it is the marketing aspect of it and getting your music listened to. Like you said, the distribution, that's a huge aspect of it.
Yeah. So what can we expect then for new music? Do we have a timeline? Can we say for sure, like, hey, we're going to get a single out this year, or maybe any new music?
Yeah. So I released 2 singles to kind of hold people over last year. Breakthrough, which is a full band song, and then a song called Old Man, which is personally my favorite song of which I've released. It's just me and a fiddle and piano. That's going to be on the new album. So yes, there's going to be a new album. I am halfway through it. I'm currently in Nashville writing the other half. And then I will go into the studio, record it, put it together. And the album will be out by the end of the year. That's all I can say as far as timeline. I wanted to trust me, if I could, I'd have it out tomorrow, but it's not done yet.
Yeah.
But half of it's recorded. I went down to a studio in New Braunfels, no, Fredericksburg. Fredericksburg, Texas, with an incredible producer named Taylor Tash. And this album's going to be co-produced by Tim Lightyear. He was in Shane Smith and the Saints. He's an incredible artist. If you have time, check him out.
Okay.
And Taylor Tash, they kind of work together and help produce this album with me. And we're just going to continue to do that.
Yeah. It's exciting, man. It's always exciting.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped because you don't get sick of your songs, but you get sick of playing songs, the same songs. You want something new. You want to add something new. That's why I'll throw on a cover. I'll do an Uncle Lucius, things like that. But now it's like this new music. Okay, band, let's learn this. This is how it sounds. And I have a live band. And then I have studio musicians that actually record the songs with me, simply because they're professionals and they can play to a click really quickly. And it's really a time thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited for the new music. I'm excited to get it out there, man. I released The Devil in Me in June of 2024. So we're coming up on 2 years. And that's going to be, I'll have the new album out by the end of the year.
Yeah. Hey, nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. Man. No,
Yeah,
pressure,
man.
right? No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. Like we talked about earlier, there's a time cycle, there's an album cycle to it, but
Yeah.
I'm still within the restrictions and the time,
Yeah, you're not pulling
I'm good.
Radiohead. It's not been 7 years.
That's right. Oh my God. I don't know how you do that, man, unless you have a few albums out. Yeah, that seems like that's an eternity in our business.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. You're right. I mean, it's crazy. This band, The Format, they hadn't put out an album since I think 2006, and they just released an album, and it's like, wow, 20 years later. Okay.
Yeah.
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 Well, Mr. Evan, thank you so much for doing this. What's the rest of the day looking like then in Nashville? What do you got?
Songwriting, a lot of songwriting. I've got an appointment with a management consultant at 11:30. Other than that, I am just hitting the books, picking up the guitar, meeting up some friends, getting some co-writes done. Hopefully getting this album out soon.
Yeah. Cool. Well, best of luck. Cannot wait to hear it. Keep in touch. And
Awesome.
yeah, man, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us. That helps the bands and artists like Evan. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Dogg. You've been great. This is the Music Lab Podcast.